As much as I love to bust GameSir's metaphorical chop over having a kind of oversaturated model lineup of controllers that sometimes do bleed over into price, platform, and feature set, making you think, why did this model even exist when there's already this controller? However, all of that R&D, listening to controller head feedback in Reddit forums and jaw-jacking ass loose lip YouTubers that review controllers, all the pros and cons have pretty much been addressed. All the ups and downs of the controllers that we've experienced from GameSir over the last 2 years or so culminated into this one budget-friendly gamepad. Honestly, GameSir has culminated all over us. Our chins, ears, eyes. Grab a rag, let's clean up, and let's get this review. A quick disclaimer to my audience, the Stallions and Stallionettes. This controller, as well as the magnetic face plates and a couple of other boxes of sugar and candy, were sent by GameSir for review. But as always, this is going to be an honest, comprehensive review. I have not been paid to say or not say anything about the controller. The thoughts in this video are 100% my own, so if there's any cons, shortcomings, or areas of improvement, you're going to hear about it. So these companies make better products over time. In the near future, I'm going to do an updated buyer's guide, the entire model lineup of GameSir, because they do have a shitload of rollers. Store drop down, go to all products, and then from here, you can click on what platform. You can do it here as well, but I kind of like to see everything that they have to offer because it is a lot. I have reviewed, I was about to say all of these, but GameSir releases rapid fire easy models to the controller market.
The Uzi 9mm.
So there might be a couple I haven't tasted or touched yet. I've reviewed the majority of these suckers, whether they're for Xbox, Switch, or mobile, so linked in the description below will be some of the more popular GameSir reviews, but if you want to see all of them, there is a controller review playlist that has hundreds of controller reviews. A few years, it'll be thousands. All right, let's see here. This is a little indicator of how fast GameSir is releasing products. They've got 4 new products just hot off the assembly line. Real quick though, to not waste your time, if you don't want to wait for that model lineup buyer's guide, if you're on the Xbox side of the house, the best controller you can get from GameSir is the G7 Pro, which I reviewed. This white version right here, it was real slick looking. If you're on the mobile side of the house, the G8 Plus is my favorite mobile snap and clip style controller on the market. A close second would be the Scuff Nomad. And then Switch. We are reviewing the Supernova over here today, which previously was called the Nova Pro. So if you've heard people talk about the Nova Pro in development, they're referring to the Supernova. It's the same controller over here. Just to confirm that they are the same controller, if you Google search Nova Pro, it'll show you this one over here. The listing's labeled Nova Pro, but then you look at the picture, it says Supernova. It's the same controller. 2 colors on their website. This Nightfall Blue, which is a gradient going from kind of a metallic blue fading into black, and then Whipped Pink, which looks super fucking sick actually. Pastel pink into white and gray grips. Key notable features of this controller, it does have tri-mode connectivity, that being Bluetooth, so we're going to try forcing compatibility with adapters and converters, a 2.4 gigahertz dongle, and then of course going tethered or wired with a USB-C cable. Thumbstick wise, this does use confusing. So this looks like they were about to type out TMR, but I think this is trademark, which should be a small TM, not a capital yelling at us. Nobody's trying to infringe on your company name there, brother. It does have regular Hall effect sticks, so better than potentiometers, not on the level of TMRs, my friend. So while it will have the same stick drift resistance, it won't have the low battery drain and ultra responsiveness that we're starting to get aroused by with TMR sticks. Precision tuned Hall effect triggers with trigger locks or stops, 1000 hertz polling rate, that is also with the wireless dongle. This does have gyro, so if you are using it on the PC side of the house for aiming, that's gonna help you out. And also the Switch games that let you do that shit. But this does not have an amiibo sensor, so that kind of sucks if you're using it on Switch. This does use rubber grips, and for $5 more, you get a version that has a charging station, which also pairs to your PC. And then this does have a application, which I will be giving you a tour of. Battery on board is 1000 milliamp hour, which will get you an advertised 15 to 25 hours of gameplay. That's a huge, that's a 10-hour difference in gameplay. This depends on disabling features like RGB and the rumble vibration, but there's a lot of varying reports, everything from 5 hours to 20 plus hours. I didn't set a stopwatch or timer when I was playing with this thing, but I was able to get 3 pretty long gaming sessions out of this controller from a full charge. That's with vibration on, RGB off.
As for the packaging, included accessories on the Supernova, previously referred to as the Nova Pro. It says multi-platform wireless game controller. The multi-platform is Switch and PC, but it does have Bluetooth, so you can try and force compatibility on PlayStation and Xbox. I'm gonna fuck around and find out later. Grabbing the foreskin of the box, Mazel Tov, we are gonna see a little bit of plastic and some foam rings holding your thumbsticks in place.
Now, GameSir knows I like options and diversity, so they sent me a smorgasbord of faceplates, which I really do appreciate.
There is the blue gradient pre-installed. Then over here, brushed silver, a little bit of a metallic flake in there.
And then these two are so hot to try. This is kind of a burnt bronze gradient, but the speckles or flakes go all the way down here into the black. This is probably what I'm gonna end up running, or this little orange dreamsicle over here, because I'm salivating off that as well.
Little protective sticker on the face buttons, which are membrane. We'll get to that in just a mo. Included accessory-wise, you do have the dock. There is a $5 cheaper version that doesn't have this, but do yourself a favor and just opt for it. This connects to your PC with the USB-C cable, then you plug the dongle into the USB-A port, so it charges and connects to your PC. Also, it drops into the cradle. Super smooth. This thing looks really nice, has RGB lights that match perfectly with the palm grips. It's a nice little dock, honestly. Rubber feet on the bottom so it doesn't go sliding around your desk. Big fan of the GameSir dongles that they're currently using. It is small, not one of the long stick of gum looking ass suckers, so that's cosmetically nice. A little bit of GameSir branding on there. It does not say the model, so if you have multiple GameSir controllers, get a label maker or something and mark which dongles for what controller. In the bottom of the box, you will have your documentation. Scan the QR code if you want a digital instruction manual, a sticker, little guitar pick, which is a QC pass placard, very short rubber USB-C cable with the little GameSir cockle-doodle-doo logo, no dust covers, no rubber tie back, just a little throwaway. To swap these face plates, if you purchase one or were sent one from GameSir because you're a lucky son of a bitch, swap in the magnetized face plates. You get a little fingernail up underneath the bottom or top and just carefully give her a, you're making me look silly right now, in front of my friends on the internet. Oh, okay, and don't be scared if you accidentally pop off your face buttons. You didn't break it. These are magnetized, pop out, and the reasoning for that is that you can swap these 2 buttons and these 2 buttons if you want to go with the Switch layout, since they do not coordinate with PlayStation, Xbox, PC, and the rest of the gaming world. So when I pulled that faceplate off, it automatically popped off one of my thumbstick, which is fine. I want to take a look at these anyway. These do look slightly different than the teardown or disassembly I did, showing GameSir's Hall Effect thumbstick modules. This looks like a slightly different version, probably better. The Dpad does not swap, so don't try and rip that off. There is no swappable caps in the box, which kind of sucks because you can already take off the faceplate. It would make swapping caps for domed or higher heights effortless. So I'm gonna go with this one right here. This is just, oh, carnal. As for the cosmetics or appearance, I did pop on this faceplate. Something I'm gonna take into account is the fact that you can change the looks of this controller by buying faceplates. I always love when controller companies do that. More of them are starting to do it. However, the back of the controller is always going to be this cheap looking and feeling plastic. The GameSir branding, the logo and the words are painted on here, but they're not raised. You can't really feel it with your finger. And while the faceplate does look nice, the face buttons and the back of the controller don't really complete the look. So I'm gonna give about 6 out of 10 for the old cosmetics or appearance. As for comfort, this does have a typical Xbox shape and shell design. The dimensions, the ergonomics, so the palm grips are cocked out at a little bit more of an angle than a lot of the Switch specific controllers we see, like 8BitDo, Ghoulie Kit. Ghoulie Kit's kind of somewhere in the middle, but 8BitDo tries to go for more closer to the Switch Pro controller, which is comfortable, but I don't think it's as comfortable as a PlayStation DualSense or an Xbox Series controller. This has some really unique rubber grips. They're pretty damn hard and dense, so they're not the most comfortable, but better than having hard stippled plastic. And these should be very durable in the long run. No weird gap where it's adhesive done to the shell. These 4 pads make contact with the pogo pins on the dock. That's how you charge. Feels kind of like an 8BitDo D-pad because it is membrane, so it's a little bit squishy and mushy, but not in a bad way. It does have a nice little tactile click or bump. Diagonals aren't bad to hit. Plastics feel pretty good on the fingertips. Yeah, it's actually a pretty good D-pad. Face buttons, not a huge fan of. Cosmetically, they do look very cheap on this controller. Not much side to side play or wiggle. Very nice, very nice. Surface plastics feel okay. Size and spacing's pretty typical, nothing to report. Not super loud for membrane buttons. A lot of membranes just sound hollow and clacky because when you let go of the button and it rebounds, they're kind of loosely socketed in there, so you hear that hollow plastic wiggling around. These actually sound pretty decent. It is important that the face buttons do feel okay or acceptable on this controller because it's only a 2 rear button controller, so you're going to be using at least 2 of these. As for the accessory button suite, these feel really good. They are mechanical, nice little tactile click in there. I wish the face buttons felt like these. I do wish that the 2 buttons that you're hardly ever going to use in gameplay, that being the home button and this share or accessory button over here, were a little bit further away from the in-game pause and menu buttons, because you could accidentally, you know, in the heat of gameplay when you're trying to pause and take a breath or something, hit the home button. This looks like it turns the controller on. Power/home button is actually over here. A lot of game launchers and programs you'll be running in the background will make use of this home button. So it'll open the Steam overlay. Depending on your game, it'll probably take you to a home menu for that launcher. Little mode switch button, and then this is your switch for the 2.4G dongle or Bluetooth. It doesn't really look like that's anything. It's just a line, but that's off. Cuts battery power, so if you want to go wired, you can put it in that center mode. There is no 3.5mm headphone jack. This does have RGB lighting, which looks sick. Can be controlled or disabled fully to save battery life. I do not like the bumpers at all. A lot of Switch controllers use these itty bitty tiny bumpers. You can't really hit them over here with the meat. You can't hit them over here with the tip. You got to get them right down Main Street, right in the center, and they feel unsatisfactory, just mushy, nothing to be happy about. As for the triggers, you do get a full linear squeeze. These are Hall effect, and they do have a nice amount of resistance all the way through the stroke. Feel very tight and secure. When you let off the trigger, it doesn't come snapping up with a hollow, clacky sound. When you do put the trigger lock or stop system on, it doesn't give you a mechanical mouse click, just blocks the trigger. This does have 2 rear buttons. They cannot be removed, but you can deactivate them so they don't do anything. They are ergonomically very comfortable. They're sunk damn near flush with the rear shell, poke out just a piece. Good amount of resistance, not very loud. I like these a lot. I do personally wish there was 2 more, maybe some buttons down here, or the extra bumpers up here. Those are sick too. You can rebind the rear buttons on the fly, which is very important because I was not able to use the software app, but it does have an extra step, which I find just kind of redundant and useless. So to go into remapping mode, hold down the M button and then whichever rear button you want bound. I'll do the left one over here. You will see the left side starts flashing. Now press the button you want bound, and that should just bind it, but now you also need to press the rear button again. You already held down map and the rear button. You shouldn't have to hit it again. Getting the software or application to control the controller, give it a little more customization. There's actually quite a few apps. You have the T4K, which is only for another one. T4 Kaleid, DJ Kaleid over there. The Tarantula in the terrarium, the Cyclone whipping your ass around, the Supernova, that is under Connect. What the fuck? Kaleid, not T4, the T7 and the G7 series use Nexus over here. If you click on this, it will break down all the G7 variants. And then the GameSir app over here, which if you click on this, nothing happens. It's kind of a dead link. As you can see, it's spinning. Doesn't really take you to anything, as where these do. This is what we need. I do believe I already have Connect installed. Alrighty, so in GameSir Connect over here, it's showing 2 controllers, neither of which are mine. Unable to connect. doc.zauge.com. Oh, as the customer who's very fucking lazy, I've already spent my money on your product. I don't like having to do shit like this. Let's unplug the controller, replug that roller. Okay, let's put the toggle in the back to something else. Oh, this might be one of those silly ones where you can only connect to the app via dongle. You're testing my gangster this morning, sweetheart. You ain't gonna like the way I tear the block. So let's re-download it. 3.7 stars from 44 ratings. That's actually pretty good. Most of these controller apps, especially the ones that are in the Microsoft Store and run like an application, not a true software program in the background, have real shitty reviews. Couldn't open this app. Go to the start menu to open it. Okay, we're off to a great start here, guys. Some of the old GameSir controllers, like the F7 G4, are crazy looking. This doesn't help or give me any additional information that I didn't already know, not to be a know-it-all, but I knew that. Look at the simplicity of the wired connection. Let's plug it in with a cable. So I'm gonna go hover in the corner, flaccid and depleted with a hunched over shrimp back because I can't get this thing connected. Over here, wired in GPT to take a look at these Hall effect thumbstick modules that do look pretty much identical performance-wise to the previous GameSir Hall effects that I have tested, doing a couple of hard flicks here. No out-of-the-box stick drift, as you would expect. Test the circularity. These are calibrated for circular or radial, not rectangular, square, typical, what you're used to with potentiometers. We can tell that by the fact that the average error is very low. I'm gonna draw a pretty little picture over here. So there's nowhere that I'm hitting
a little area where my movements are not registered. Right now I'd be strafing, corner peeking somebody. This is where I line up my shot and send them back to the lobby. Beautiful. This is also a diagnostic tool, so as you press buttons, it shows you that nothing is broken on your controller. Software latency test. This isn't going to be as accurate as hooking up leads to the nipples of the board of the controller, but you pick a button here, start the test. It's bouncing between 15 and 17. We'll average it out, 16 milliseconds. You can also do an input delay test down here, but this also takes into account your reaction as a gamer. Okay, 252 milliseconds, so about a quarter of a second, I was able to react to that flashing light and click the button. The stock clock on GameSir controllers is 1000 hertz, and that does include wired or wireless. I'm gonna run another one. I didn't like the way that tasted. Okay, so we do have one outlier. It is not from when I first started spinning the sticks, but we're definitely at 1000 hertz for around 1 millisecond of input lag or delay. Not the latency. We took a little lookaroo at that. It's about 16 milliseconds for you freaks out there. Over here in Dpad LA, one and enter, rotate that left analog stick. So Dpad LA is showing the same random 2 that popped up here. Stability was only at 89%, giving us an average of 900 hertz. Give me another, please. A little better there, but we are still getting that random 2, which we also saw one random 2 in X input tests. A burst of inconsistency there, but I don't think it's going to get you killed. And just to confirm that the wireless dongle is also at 1000 hertz, like the manufacturers claim. You already know it, I already know it, but let's go ahead and, you know, the numbers don't lie. Weird. So these look faster and more consistent than the wired connection. And I'm starting to see this more and more. I don't know if it's that wireless technology is getting so crazy. 6 outliers, that is a whole bunch. Let's run another one. Oh, it was operator error. It's not you. It's me, sweetheart. That one outlier is, so near the top might be me slowing down with my wrist rotation or something. We are at 1000 hertz.
So using the latest Brook accessories adapter, which I have reviewed in the channel, it was also looped in with that huge comparison of all the converters and adapters on the market that are worth the fuck. You can stick a gum dongle into that. I am using a USB-C extension cable from one of the USB-C ports in the back of this PS5. It is super freaking laggy. I also use this on a base PS5, plugging in the same way, but not using a USB-C extender, and it's still the same way. So whilst it does connect and it does allow you to play PS5 specific games, not just navigate the console and play PS4 games. Oh, damn it, I was late to hit record. These were just flashing and then they paired up. So you can also do Bluetooth, which this converter, the FGC2, does not have. So when you pinch these, boop, when you pinch the cheeks on the side, nothing happens. There it goes. Hey now. Get your game on, go play. About the same amount of input lag or delay, even just browsing the menu. As I hit the D-pad, there's like a little bit of lag that is noticed in gameplay as well, especially on the sticks. There were a couple times where I'll do like a fucking hard snap this way, hard snap this way, and I get kind of stuck up in the middle. However, I do come with good news. If you do just go tethered or wired with the FGC2, I didn't notice any input lag or delay. Oh, I got all excited, made that noise for no reason. Real quick before I try the next connection method being Bluetooth, I need to mention a little modern console silliness. There's no USB-C ports on a Series X console, and there's no USB-A ports on a PS5 Pro. Silly, there should be both. There's multiple Bluetooth connection modes with this controller. When you do connect to the PC via Bluetooth, it will be recognized as a PS4 DualShock 4 controller. That's probably because it uses the same Bluetooth technology, which was 5.0. Just guessing here. The fact that it's recognized as a PlayStation controller instead of X input, which is the golden standard on PC, is a little weird. There's multiple Bluetooth modes. There's a specific one for iOS, Apple devices. There's one for Android, which is how I was able to pair up to the Xbox. And the input lag or delay is actually not noticeable. I was playing Perfect Dark and GoldenEye Remaster. I'm kind of on a retro shooter kick right now, but no dongle connection for me. It didn't work for me. Wired and Bluetooth does work, but you have to put it into Android mode by putting the toggle in the back to Bluetooth and then holding down the home button and B until these 3 status lights come on.
So as for the pros, cons, and verdict, we'll start with the cons. D-pad, even though it's membrane, I actually liked it quite a bit. Face buttons, not so much, and this is only a 2 rear button controller, so you're gonna have to use at least 2 of the face buttons. Didn't hate them, but I also don't love them. You gotta use them. Thumbsticks are Hall effect, not TMR. They are drift resistant like TMRs, but they're not gonna be quite as responsive or have that low battery drain. Bumpers and triggers. a con. These bumpers are just like the 8-bit DOE controllers. Talked about them during their section. The trigger lock or stop system is just a plastic bar that comes out and stops the trigger from being pulled all the way. It doesn't become a mechanical mouse click. And the biggest con is that I could not get the recommended software application working with this controller. Might be operator error, but I tried my damnedest. Please drop in the comment section below. Help me, please, if you got any information that can get me up and running. There's also no 3.5mm headphone jack. I'm also going to list the battery life as a con just because reports are so varied. Everything from 5 hours to like 25 hours. That's crazy. Even though this does have RGB and vibration you can disable, there shouldn't be that big of a difference. As for the pros, I really do like the fact this has magnetic faceplates, so you can change the look of your controller without having to buy a whole new one. The sticks felt good, not necessarily the caps. I would recommend popping on some KontrolFreeks, at least on the right stick. Along those regards, the Xbox sticks were a little bit too tight, but the PlayStation 4 and Switch ones did fit with a little bit of wiggle room. The value factor is pretty damn good. You have Hall effect, 2 rear buttons, gyro, and tri-mode connectivity, which is the next pro. This does have pretty good converter or adapter support, so you could get this one controller, and if you have a converter for Xbox and one for PlayStation, I use Rook Accessories, but I have used other companies and have a comparison of popular converters and adapters on the market. You can get this thing working on PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series wirelessly, which is really cool. I like the rubber grips. They're hard, dense enough to where I don't think they're going to break apart in the long run, but they do feel better than hard stippled plastic. I like the RGB. I think it looks cool. You can disable it. It comes with a dock, which is nice. You can save $5 and not get the dock. So out of the model lineup, which is huge between Switch, Xbox, they don't make PlayStation controllers, but you can get them working with converters or adapters. I still prefer the G7 Pro wireless, but that is, I zoned out on the price, but it's $80 on Amazon currently, not $50. And in that regard, this does damn near the same shit, but doesn't have mechanical face buttons or D-pad. The dock's a little bit different. Cosmetically, it doesn't look as nice. And the build quality, fit and finish isn't as sweet or premium. GameSir has always been known for price to performance bang for buck, and this really does nail that. Kind of the best do everything, just get this one GameSir controller, especially because it can be used cross-platform. While this is a really good controller, I'm sitting here staring down in the nether regions with a smile on my face because I'm happy about what I see. GameSir has no 4 rear button controllers in the lineup currently, a lineup that is so full of controllers and they all have no or 2 rear buttons. I am patiently waiting to test, review, and have my way with a 4 rear button controller from GameSir. I know that's going to happen eventually, just don't know when. In the meantime, this is the best budget-friendly GameSir controller. The best one that I've tested personally is the G7 Pro. Drop in the comment section below what you think of this controller or any of the GameSir model lineup. I know a lot of you have bought the G7 Pro and are liking that controller. Rightfully so, it is a damn good one for sure. The Tarantula I didn't like initially, but I heard the software got better for that, and it does have some cool features, so I'll probably do a follow-up review of that. And I will be doing an updated buyer's guide, the full model lineup of GameSir, because they have released literally 20, 25 models in the 2 years since I made my last buyer's guide. I will see you tomorrow. Peace.